Good morning out there. How is everybody? We're into February already. Boy, the year just started and we're already in the second month. I hope everybody's doing well. This is Paul Pedron. I'm product manager for ZenWorks Portfolio Service Desk in Hybrid Workspaces. And I come to you with ZENcast Live. ZENcast Live is a uh, every other week, actually every first and third Tuesday, we meet, and that is to be able to give you ideas about how you're using ZenWorks, or if you're even interested in ZenWorks. So it's for just about anybody that's doing some unified endpoint management. Today we're doing ZCM bundle policy cleanup, bundle and policy cleanup. This is to identify, try and free up some space, identify what's out there, is it being used, and so forth. Next time we're going to be doing ZSD onboarding automation. So being able to send tickets, you make one ticket and you're able to send it to multiple people for onboarding in your corporation. Anyway, today is ZCM bundle and policy cleanup. And this is ZenCast Live again for ZenWorks admins, ZenWorks community, and anybody interested in ZenWorks. We do meet the first and third Tuesday at 9 o'clock Mountain Time. Details of the recordings can be found at this link, and I will put that in the chat so that you have this particular presentation with the links. You can go ahead and download that, follow along, or if you're watching the recording, be able to download it so that you can track what we're doing in this particular session. I'll go ahead and open up that link just so you could see what it is. This is ZenCast Live. It's in the Micro Focus support and training. And yes, we are now OpenText. OpenText purchased us, and we have an even broader scale of products now that will be able to be at your resources. So ZenWorks is still here. ZenWorks is thriving, and we look forward to expanding that as we grow with the OpenText company. All right, so you'll see it here, and you can see the IM&G Unified Endpoint Management. We have other ZenCasts. All the ZenCasts are here. If they pertain to a different product, they'll be in that perspective location as well. But there's also other things, training material and so forth, in these other areas as well. So details of the recordings, if you look at the details of the recordings, you will find these PDFs. A little bit of house cleaning. Subscribe to the notifications in YouTube chat. That way you can log in and you can put in comments. You can throw out questions as we're going through different topics. The best viewing is audio 720p 60. And as I mentioned, posted in the recorded video in the description will be links and references both to the PDFs and anything else that I might have in that particular session. Okay, a little bit of recap. Last time we did ZCM 2020 U3 upgrade. Upgrading to 2020 U3, I had a very basic appliance that we upgraded. Some of you have very complex systems. Obviously, there are some details about the sequence and so forth in the documentation that you want to review, obviously. But we covered that. There is a ZCM lookbook out there that basically gives you what the features are, where you can, what if you should upgrade, what you need to do to upgrade. So there's a lot of resources out on the lookbook page. Okay, we had documentation, getting started docs, and so forth. We're trying to get down a ZCM upgrade cookbook for you. The last one that we had published was ZCM 2020 Update 2, so we're trying to get another one going. And introducing new settings, securing the ZCC, port 7443, next generation. Part of that was, if you notice, if we go 27, it will obviously, oh, I don't have 27 up, maybe 150. You'll see that port 773 is now a secure port. Oh, it's not up either. 7443. Thought I had that up. Oh, it's there. So this actually launches your ZCC. And if you don't put that in, the 7443, you'll get a redirect. Okay? So just being aware that that's a new way of securing your things. We covered that last time, a few details about that as you log into your zone when you have update 3. Today's agenda, we're going to be identifying some bundles and policies, seeing if they have multiple versions. This obviously affects disk space, and investigate with some queries. We've got a couple queries we can throw out there, and then some ZCC cleanup of versions. How do you clean up? Why do you want to clean up? What are the different things there? We'll talk about some database types, database tools, and then we'll obviously have those queries for you. And it's also in this documentation, so feel free to download that when you get a chance. All right, let's go on into today's session. Let's first talk about the databases. So in this particular case, let's go ahead. Oop. Might be good if I spelled it right. So this is update 3, and you can see we're on port 773 out here, okay, or 7443. And the databases, obviously, you can tell in the diagnostics what you're connected to, right? At the very top, you have your database. This is a PostgreSQL, okay? Both for my ZenWorks audit. Remember, there's some that have Vertica databases and so forth. So, and then going from 17, 17 is listed here because you also had an internal Sybase, so you had to upgrade from 17 to 20. You had to do your Sybase to Postgres upgrade. So if you're still on 17, make sure you look at that upgrade cookbook for 2020 so that you get the sequence right. It won't allow you to upgrade to 2020 if you're not on Postgres or the other supported external databases. Okay, so again, with our OEM or our standalone databases, it's internal PostgreSQL, which is the embedded database. But a few things to remember is case sensitivity, admin logins, right? Being able to log in as administrator, your query statements, right? That's Oracle is very case sensitive, whereas MS SQL is not, all right? And making sure your MS SQL is in compatibility mode, okay? So we did have a ZENcast on content. So that kind of dovetails into this. Let me go ahead and put that in the chat as well, so that you have something to reference to. It's another ZENcast, and it was done last year about databases. And so this kind of dovetails into some of that because there are some issues with databases that you have to be aware of. For instance, if you're using the Postgres, you could use the pgadmin, dbeaver, a multitude of different shareware type database explorers, right? You might have a syntax issue coming into some of those, all right, depending on what you're using. For instance, down here in the pgadmin for dbeaver, select from device where you got the /x. So being able to get the right context, whereas MS SQL, you don't have the /x. So there are some contexts as well as pgadmin if you're trying to get the ZUID and hex, which is your GUID. So your device GUID, if we go to device or any GUID, you have your GUID here, or if you're looking at a particular bundle, you have your GUID here. In order to present that in pgadmin 4, you need to do a little more syntax, okay? Let's go ahead and close this. We can leave that open. We can close this. Let's go ahead and look at something else we have. So there's a TID out there, which is this TID here. I'll put it in chat as well, and it's in the documentation. for database tools. All right. So this has a rundown on different things about a PostgreSQL database and tips and utilities. All right. ZCM, the ZSD appliance, also has the Postgres being able to log in natively in the console, right? And then there are some backups and so forth, but also some utilities, pgadmin4, there's dbeaver, and the specific syntax that you need to be able to do something like this. So for instance, select ZUID, this is select encode ZUID byte hex, and then platform hostname. So if it has a GUID in it, which is if it has hex in it, you need to preface with this in pgadmin4. And that's to help those that aren't certain. There's a lot of systems out there that you use in PostgreSQL. A lot of corporations out there that don't have an onboard database administrator. So hopefully this helps those that don't have those skilled individuals, and this will help you get through that and be able to get into the database. All right. So there are some examples here in this download, and of course I put some queries in here as well. Okay. Let's go back. We're going to run these queries, and let's go ahead and do that. Let's go out. I got dbeaver running right here. I'm attached to my ZenWorks database zone, digital airline zone, right? Now, one thing that let's preface this a little bit. Let me go back into my database or into my zone. We're in DA zone, and you can see we have bundles and policies. Let's go to home. You can see we have a few for test purposes, right? We don't know which ones have versions, right? If you go to bundles, it'll actually have a version column and tell you which version it is, right? This one has sandbox. This one obviously has a version on it. This one's up to 3. So if we pick this one, we probably can see in the drop down 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, you may be asking, why should I worry about the past versions? Well, for example, let me go to my info collect. If we look here, we have 4, right? The 4th is published. If it's not published, it'll say sandbox. And if in version 0, I was creating this and added some content, meaning a file to download in the repository, if my actions, because this has a lot of actions in it, if I'm copying files or things like that, then I go to version 2 and I remove that file and add another file. Version 0 is still out there because you can always go back. Until you remove it, it won't remove that content. Okay, which means your database is getting fuller, your content repository is getting fuller, and there's all these out here that need to be, that you could actually save space on, right? So let's try and figure out how to determine which bundles, without having to go to each one of these to see what's in them, to try and see what data consumption they're taking. So that's where we're going to look at this one. For at least we can select for versions. So if we go ahead and do versions, this is finding bundles and policies. Let's see if I can increase that a little bit. Let's go full screen and see if I can increase this. I can't get it any bigger. Not sure how to do that in Postgres or in dbeaver. Hope you could see that. Okay, I do have the queries listed, but we're going to run the finding bundles policies and showing different versions in this particular case. And if we go ahead and hit run here, we're in dbeaver, and we could see that this is basically listing our versions here. If we do a sort on our particular object, which is our bundle name, we could then see, notice that each version has a different GUID, right? So it's basically a separate bundle, and each one that has content would obviously build. Now, if you didn't change the bundle version, let's say you went into the version, you replaced files in version 2, now you have that content in there, and in version 3 you didn't, it would obviously carry it over, and it will try and match the values and see that, oh, I already have it there. Or maybe you copied a bundle from one zone location to another zone location, and you tweaked it for that particular lab or whatever, but it still has the same content, which means there's two contents in there. There is a process in the background that will go out and check um, um, the drawing a blank, the criteria of that. Oh my goodness, I just draw a blank. Anyway, it'll compare the I'm sorry. It'll compare the files and make sure that it's the same one. Okay. So then it'll remove one of them and have the one content for both of the bundles. That's where I was going with that. So you do want to make sure that you can find these and remove these. So I can see now this would be 4. This would be knowledge base 4, and then we have, or 3, 1, 0, 1, 2, and then this would be 3 because it's the published one. And you can see the version 3 over here. Okay. So now we know if we wanted to, we can go to DA knowledge in our zone. I don't know that I have DA. Do a search. DA knowledge base. And we can see there are 3. And now there's a couple ways of removing the older versions. You could delete older versions here, right? Now you could delete all older versions, which means 3 would be the final one and published. Or you could delete older than, right? So if I said I want to delete older than 2 and hit OK, now we just have 2 and 3. If we delete all older versions, it'll then now just have the 1, 3. Okay. Same goes with policies. So pretty much mirroring policies and bundles. Okay, here. The version 3 is now your primary, and if we should do this again, we should see it might still be there because it does go into queue to be processed for deletion. So, but you can see it removed it from here right away. So it's not accessible, right? But it's in the content queue to be removed. All right. And whenever that process happens, typically around midnight, your time zone, it would then process those and remove them. All right. So that's finding the bundles in the different versions, which is kind of important to be able to understand that. Now you may want to find out bundles that aren't being used. Okay, maybe you have bundles out there that are you created, they were for a particular temporary purpose, you have them, or you've now upgraded that product, so you have these outstanding ones that you kind of keeping on the sidelines, but you're ready to dismiss. You could run this particular query, and it will tell you the ones that aren't being used or associated. Actually, not used, but associated. These are not associated to any device or users. Okay, so I have info collect going to workstations, the DC, the ZAM only, the DC, the Looney Tunes, the Marvel, and security and users. And where I see that is if we go back over here and we go to configuration and we go into our user sources, here's our DC, departments, Looney, Marvel, security, users. Okay. So in this particular case, info collect, now I got info collect troubleshooting. Where's info collect? Let's see if we got an info collect here. I think I got a couple of them in here. Let's go to bundles, info, and we'll search. So there's info collect. All right, under tech tools. You can see that we do have 3 versions of that. We do have it here, sitting here. Here's the version 3 GUID, right? And this one does actually have content similar to that other one. We do copy files and registry poll. We run things. We create directories and so forth in this particular one. So this has a lot of actions and collects information, the ZENinfo and so forth, as well as GPO policies and so forth. If you are interested in this particular bundle, I have distributed it out on one of the ZENcasts, or you can contact me. So in this particular case, bundles associated to devices, or finding associated devices not being used. So these have not been used. Now you can kind of go through that because you have that scenario too, that they've been out there, the product upgraded, you created a new bundle, these are sitting out there, they're disassociated, right? However, I was thinking also that with bundles, you have system requirements. You both have system requirements and action requirements. Sometimes those are real valuable, right? And you really don't want to lose those. You may want to see, maybe they help you investigate why it's dormant. Maybe it's for an upcoming project, or you used it for a project and you can use it again. But let's look at some bundles here. For instance, group policy. So in this particular case, a group policy. Let's go to our policies and we'll do group. There's our group policy. And you can see it's published 0, right? But if we look, we can see that there's system requirements. So this particular query allows you to see the system requirements for the bundle, right? Event Viewer also has one. Let's go look at Event Viewer. If we go to Policies, we go to Event. I think that's actually a bundle. Yeah, that's a bundle. Let's go to Event, Search, Event Viewer Elevate. Okay, so this one has system requirements. Okay, I know when I was administering at my previous position and working with support, these were very valuable because sometimes the syntax, as you could see, are necessary, and it's just good to know what they are, as well as if you look here, you can see the system requirements. Okay, so that's valuable information. I think that's very valuable information. But then if you look at some of these, let's go back over here and we go to info collect troubleshooting. We can see that there's no system requirements. Well, do we want to delete it? Well, I don't know. There may be action system requirements. Okay, so this has a lot of actions in it. Do we want to go through each one to see which one has action requirements? First off, you have the requirements over here, which is great. Wonderful add, wonderful column add that they did. And you can see which ones have those particular requirements. So you can easily see here that this one will have requirements, action to run, it's set, troubleshooting, let's see. Yeah, this one eluded me. I don't, oh, here it is here. No, yeah, it does have some, that's just a directory name. There it is. I don't know what happened there. So there's our system requirements there. Being able to make sure that that's present. All right. So you can easily go to here and run this to see which ones have action system requirements. And in this case, we're just listing the bundle. Okay. So you can see which version, which is nice. And you could elaborate on this to get which action if you wanted to. Right now, this is just shows you which one, so you can go searching. The nice thing is with this added column, you don't need to search through every one of them like you had to before. That was a great column add that they have. Notice the requirements here. Notice the requirements here. If we did add enable, if we did enable, then we did a system requirement here. Oh, I can't do. Oh, I see. No, that's a canned one, so I'd need to add something. So you can easily see here that we have a requirements, we have the versions here, and it's important to be able to gain that. Now, if you look at the ZENcast that I did before for disk space, you'd be able to see it talks about content, which is very applicable in this particular case. I don't necessarily want to go through the full content, being that we did a full ZENcast on it. But if we looked at this particular ZENcast, and let me do, it's here. Let me go out here. We talked about content and commands, CNFA commands, the CAN commands, so that you could display the aliases, the versions, and so forth to get the actual content size and what is available in there. It also, when you run those commands, you get these particular, in the metadata, file info and object info. Those are some logging that's done. Actually, these two have an orphan. Where's my notes? Let's see if I have them in my notes here. So, no, that's references. I do have them down here as far as, whoops, some other commands that are available that you could run, as well as YouTube videos of ZENcast that we've done. So there are some other commands in here, not to keep you hanging. Check content, check bundle content. So for instance, if we were to go back over to dbeaver, and let's go here, and let's go, oh, I have Z content here, but I don't think that's the one we want. We want to do select star from Z-linked object. There's a misspell there. This is misspelled. So it'll probably tell you that. Object where containing object UID equals, and we need to find a linked object for bundle. So let's go over to our bundle. I'll pick this one, and we'll take the GUID, and we'll throw it in here. See if we can get this right. And run this. I don't have it. Okay, so containing object UID probably is not check bundle content, because we're looking at the Z-linked object. Let's go, oh, because I need the content, the bundle GUID. Let's go to, there may not be any in that one. Let's go to this one, see if this is, or if it's actually the content GUID that we need. Let's try that. Again, this is all in that one presentation and more sequence. Yeah, and it might have been a different zone. No, we're in the right zone. Oop. So I can't cut and paste from here. So yeah, check out the other presentation So you can see the purge, status history. You can see the check bundle content. I didn't farm those out to narrow them down here. I wonder why I put this here. Oh, just to see content. So this is all of our content. Now, these GUIDs are the content GUIDs for different bundles. So let's go full screen. So you have the file checksum. That's what I was looking for before, is a checksum. So it verifies the checksum if it has content, verifies between the checksums to see if they have duplicates, and keeps at least one if they're live. Okay. And you have other things in here. So this is a content table and where they exist, as well as the size. Okay. So you can see that there are some things that are in here quite big. I'm pretty sure this is info collect because that's the big one I have in here. But images may be in here as well. Okay, if you've imported images. All right. So that particular, just going to Z content will help. But there's, in that video that we talked about the databases, has more details on to narrow this down and get this refined. All right. The other thing is you can go to configuration, server. No, I actually wanted to do server details, content. You have your content here and where it's distributed. So if you have multiple, everything's going to be in this one because it's a single zone. But if you have satellites and other primaries, you could turn on and off those particular caching to different servers, obviously, and where you want it staged. Okay, that's important also with images, right? But you can do that as well. So let's see, purge status history. There's a TID there. What this? Oops, 7008193. Let's go 7008193. Log in, see if it does anything different here. Content configuration. So this is an older TID, and it's an internal TID. So that wouldn't really pertain. Bundle query with name. There's a couple of queries in here that I threw in here for bundle query with GUID. So being able to see the GUID with the name, display name, select Z bundle order by display name. If we go back over to here, and run. Okay. So a few of these just to get you rolling on the top, and then doing some SQL queries to be able to dig deeper. The one thing that you can run is to check to see if you have any orphans. So if there's content, if there's missing content in the repo, or if there's orphans in the repo, which means there's content that doesn't have a bundle or a policy, or missing, there's bundles and policies that can't find their content, you could run this Micro Focus ZenWorks configure command. And that again is in the database ZENcast that I had earlier last year. So again, The particular need in this case is being able to find those versions that are in our zone, and being able to see if they have content, make sure that they aren't needed anymore, right? We have a whole lot here, and we can go ahead and delete older versions. Go ahead and delete, do a little cleanup. Delete older versions in 17. No, we're going to delete all of them. Then it starts cleaning up, and the back end processes will clean up that space for you. So being able to identify those is what today's is all about. Trying to say, and then that'll also pull up some patch management. By the way, the next webinar coming up, the third Thursday, we'll get to it in a minute in the slides, but third Thursday will be on patch management, the new advanced patch management. Just so I don't forget to mention that. Okay, system updates is another thing, being able to identify those system updates you need and don't need. Typically, when I was managing my zone, I would keep one version behind. So I went from 1 to 3. I would keep one behind and then remove this one here, so that it freed up some space. Sometimes that keeps lingering versions, like update 1 or update 0 may still be in the repository and not cleaned out. So I'd have to go in and clean those out, but there is an enhancement coming down the line to clean that up as well, because we know that can hold a lot of space, because it downloads, then it extracts, and then it installs. So you have at least 2 versions out there, the download version and the extract version, on your system that takes up space, and those updates are fairly large. Okay, so if there's any questions, shout them out. If there's things you're looking to do, feel free to shout them out in the messaging. I'll be happy to answer those questions. I think I put everything in the links that we have. Going to be a little shorter session today, give you back some of your time, but let's see what else is going on out in the presentation world today. So the documentation, again, the patch management documentation is out here. Remember that you have these new videos for the patch management series, the next generation patch management series. Great videos that'll really get you going, understanding how to get there, how to migrate to it, when to migrate to it, and so forth. All right. We have the advanced patch feed PDF out there, which is understanding and applications that are supported. Okay. The Postgres database tips, which I showed you earlier, and the Postgres to SQL migration for U0, going to 2020 U0 from 17, right? And there's how it goes. So there's discussion out there. Remember to go to the discussion boards. You'll find things. And then automatically runs database, this feature. So this is another ideas exchange to automatically execute DB script on DB server. A couple of things. Oh, that's actually service desk. Okay, but related to the database. Okay, one thing to remember is go out to the community site. You'll find a lot of tips and infos, what's coming down, who's doing what, the updates to what's going on with the different products, as well as OpenText. You can see we are now OpenText, starting to get the branding for that. But a lot of good information out here underneath the community pages, and these are monitored all the time, as well as when you go in here, make sure you go out and you go to the ideas exchange and put in your ideas, because these are monitored and helps us improve the product. Okay. The schedule for next time is ZSD onboarding users. We'll be doing that. So how you can basically, you have somebody coming new to your organization or moving to a new location in your organization, and they need a telephone, they need a desk, they need a partition, they need, a printer, they need a laptop, those types of things. One request will send it to all the needed parties, whether it's facilities, whether it's HR, passwords, the whole bit. That's what we'll be covering next week or in 2 weeks. Future customer requests are here. As we mentioned, the whole on-demand upcoming schedule is out here. You could see past ZENcast down here. You could just do a web search and you'll find it either on product or on a particular topic. Upcoming versions. Oh, well, currently we're on update 3. Is January PRU, is February PRU out? Let's look. Where are we? These are all the other ones. Let's go to here. Let's see if the PRU is out. February PRU is out. So you can go ahead and install your PRUs, check for updates. The other thing you can do is, I need to do that for my zone. Also be aware that the November, every 3 months, the appliances, if you have an appliance, the update for your security updates need to be updated. And that's in your online updates in your 9443 portal, right? So we're going to upgrade this to February. ZRS 7.8. Apparently 8.8 is coming out soon in like July. And then ZSD 8.3.1 is out. There's a cookbook and links to the README as well as 22.9. Upcoming is a ZenWorks 2020 Update 4 enhancements. Things like Internet as a Service cloud deployment option, support for Azure AD as a user source for end users, Mac management via MDM, Windows 10 MDM, and mobile enhancements. ZRS, like I said, is coming out. I think that's either May or June. And then ZSD 8.4 is coming out in June with 2 form factor authentication, customization, and personalization for the customer, and combine quick call views to just throw out a few. And then Hybrid Workspaces 23.1 is coming out in March. They have the Elastic Cloud, again, support for Azure AD and OpenID, unified files APIs, and shell integrations. All right. Those are some of the things we have going on with upcoming UEM products. There's other community links here that you can easily tap into when you download the PDF. More cool solutions and TIDs out here as well, especially some upgrade 3 questions or issues that you might want to circumvent. And then finally, we have the ZSD blog, the Hybrid Workspaces blog, the ZCM blogs, and all the other live casts that we have. We have a Filer live cast, GroupWise Enterprise Messaging. The ZenWorks one, which I mentioned, is going to have the Advanced Patch Management, Next Generation Patch Management for the 3rd Thursday this month, and the OES iPrint. Okay, so those are some of the casts we have coming down the line. And we have some events coming down the line. Remember, even past events, you can tap into those and get some cool presentations that might pertain to your environment. And then the next ZENcast, as I mentioned, is on February 21st in 2 weeks, ZSD onboarding automation. Important topic for environments, Heiko, with heavy bundle usage. Thank you for shouting that out. Yeah, for heavy bundle usage environments, you really want to make sure you are tuned in your bundles and make sure we don't have a lot of versions out there, and other bundles just hanging out there, especially if you're bringing in not just the part of the bundle settings is or usage is also patch. which brings a whole nother dynamics of bundles, right? So very good point, Heiko. I appreciate that shout out. So being able to trim this down and make sure that you don't have a lot of bundle versions out there, and as well as you don't have a lot of content that isn't being used in your repository. Okay. Thank you much for that. I don't see any other questions. Any other questions out there? Go ahead and shout them out, or comments. I appreciate that. Again, you'll be able to see this live on the YouTube channel if you're watching the recording, or if you know about it, it'll be there in about 10-15 minutes. And I'll have all the links to the PDF and things we mentioned in the description of those. So I appreciate everybody coming aboard and being here and watching. I hope to be able to give you a good onboarding for ZenWorks Service Desk next time. And please stay safe. We're getting through February, getting through the year. Thank you very much. You guys have a great week.